Hello. In this lesson you will learn how to process the incoming invoice from the vendor. The invoice usually received by the account payable department where they will trigger the invoice verification process. The invoice can be entered in the SAP system via transaction MIRO or by navigating the following SAP menu. Let me just go and use the command line to enter directly to this transaction. You can do that by typing in slash. I'm gonna use capital letter instead of small so you could see it. Capital N MIRO, and you press the enter key to continue. This is one way to do it. Let's go back. You can also start this transaction by going first to logistics, then go to materials management, then go to purchasing, then go to purchase order, then go to follow-on functions, click on that. The user will process the vendor's invoice by selecting transaction MIRO logistics invoice verification. So let's go ahead and double click on it to start the invoice verification process. The initial screen for transaction MIRO is displayed. The required enter fields for this transaction are the invoice date, posting date, the amount, and the tax amount if applicable. So let's begin by clicking on the invoice date and select a future date and posting date. Select it as 31st. Let me just put a reference number here. Let me go ahead now and select the purchase order related to this invoice, and I'm going to use order number starts with 45. I'm going to select the first one right here. This purchase order number, or particular order number, we're going to use to post an invoice against it. Let's go ahead now and press the enter key. Let's go back here to the amount field and enter the amount, and make sure that the amount on the invoice matches the amount on the purchase order. And we're going to enter here 1,000. Click on the calculate tax field and set the indicator if you want SAP to calculate the tax automatically for you. In the payment tab, SAP will calculate the date for payment automatically. So I'm going to change this to today's date. This is today's payment. Payment terms, I'm going to make it net 30. You have also something called payment block. Please know that you can stop or block payment from this area by selecting the reason for or from the payment block. Let's go ahead now and press the enter key. You can also view the purchase order details from here by double clicking on the purchase order number, where you have also the vendor's name and the PO detail. Just go back and click the back icon. After entering all the required fields and you're ready to post this invoice, let's go ahead and check the mark and set that indicator to confirm. Go ahead now and post the invoice by clicking on the save icon. Notice the message at the bottom of the screen confirming that the invoice document number that ends with 8935/2013 is on hold. And I believe the reason why it has to do with the tax calculations, this area right here. Basically, in the chart of accounts, the system administrator has to define the accounts to which a tax posting is to be made. So the tax code to be entered correctly, there should be some configuration to be made for taxes on sales or purchases. Let's go ahead now and click on the back icon to exit this transaction. That will conclude our lecture on how to verify and process the incoming invoice against a particular purchase order. Let's go ahead now and review the quiz questions that comes with this lesson. If you have any problem or you get stuck on any of the problems, please go back and review the material one more time.